Canes returned home last night. There was some concern, coming off a road trip. You're home. You got some things you got to take care of. A little malaise. No malaise for the Canes last night. Got things done.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're to the point now with this team. I don't think that we should expect the effort to dip if they're home, road, moon, playing pickup hockey, playing ball hockey. That's just the way they play.
I guess the one concern for the Canes, defense, Pyotr Kochetkov, which we'll get to in a second, have been great. It's been the steadying force for this team. It's why they are where they are in the standings. That's why they've been able to pull out these overtime games as well. But man, you generate all these chances, but no actual scoring. Is this like one of these? Are they going to be due to finally break the dam on that, or is this a potential issue that we're identifying right now in terms of actually finishing these chances, which is what you kind of need to do in the playoffs?
The issue comes if you get no chances.
Yeah.
That's when you have the issue. I mean, it's like anything. The water finds its level. As long as they continue to generate these high-quality opportunities. Last night after the first period, they had 7 shots in the slot, and those are high danger, whatever the analytics community likes to call them, because everybody has different terms for everything now. So I don't want to use a term and get actually, we now refer to it as this.
Right.
But they're grade A chances. For me, and it's something that Rod Brindamore has said several times, guys, it's when those chances aren't there, when you're not getting those sniffs, that's when you have to be worried that there's something wrong. But the fact that they're getting them, and I've got to tip my cap to Philip Grubauer last night for the Seattle Kraken. That game should have been 4-0 after the first period, and he's the reason why it was only 2-0. And I think I'm underselling it. It could have been 6-0. The way that the Canes started out, a house of fire, to use the old wrestling term from Gorilla Monsoon, and Grubauer gave Seattle the chance to lock it in. And remember, the Canes don't have Sebastian Aho right now. They played 3 games without Sebastian Aho. They've won all 3. And I'm not saying that if you put him in the lineup, they score 7 last night, but maybe an opportunity here or there goes in if he's out on the ice. So, no, nothing to worry about, nothing at all.
Mike Maniscalco, Carolina Hurricanes, Bally Sports, joining us here on the OG. That's Joe Ovies. I'm Joe Giglio. And, Mike, I know they've played so many games on the road, but I thought last night, I know some people not totally thrilled with the way that Seattle came back, but they won. And I feel like you look at their home record, you're like, well, yeah, they got to start stacking a few of these up because they've taken care of business on the road. It's home where they've kind of not gotten the points that they need to get.
Well, they've only played 10 games at home, Joe. And I'll be honest with you, if you look at how the schedule is played, excuse me, Joe Giglio. I know there's 2 Joes here. And for you, Joe Giglio, fellow broadcaster of the year nominee.
Yes,
fellow broadcaster of the year nominee. Yeah,
congratulations to you, sir.
Fist bumps through the camera here.
But to that point, Joe, there really hasn't been a homestand. The longest homestand that the Canes had in the 10 games they played was two games. So there were days they come in off of a road trip. They're here for 24, 48 hours, and they're right back on the road. And the fact that they have a winning record at both home and road, I think you're right. You have to stack wins at home, but they haven't really been given a homestand to do that. That's what this opportunity is as we head into the stretch run of December and head into the new year. But for me, I take a look at the start of the season. It felt like everything was on the road because there was hardly a time where the Canes had more than 5 days in this city of the first 28 games that they played.
It's going to take you slightly off topic here, Mike, but the NHL's been talking about tweaking their schedule, right? And I think we can agree on this. I enjoyed the multiple games in the same city during the pandemic. Is there when you look at this schedule, the way that the Canes are on the road, this is a product of not having priority at arenas. I mean, pure and simple. So unless you want to move your schedule, you're going to have some teams are going to run into this, okay? And the Canes obviously do have some priority. But listen, I think there were some things to be learned from the pandemic. One of the things the league is actually talking about is expanding the number of games against their regional rivals. And one thing I would like to see them bring back is, hey, you know what? We're playing twice in St. Louis tonight. Why not? I thought it worked.
I would love that. I would love that. I mean, I absolutely would. Where you're going to play 2 games in Pittsburgh. You'll play. I mean, you can't do it against the West.
Right.
It's stacked up because it was the pandemic shortened season of 56 games. But I'm with you. We're going to play both games in Pittsburgh this weekend. We're going to wrap that portion up, and you could even do that if you want to stack it up later in the year, where your division games mean something. The other thing that the league does, and I don't want to get in trouble with the NHL, but they took division games away when you get to 32 teams to have a balanced schedule. Well, if you're going to take games away from the Eastern Conference, the Canes and the Penguins and the Caps and the Devils, they don't need to play 3 games against the Atlantic Division. Just take away games against the Atlantic Division,
right.
Play them twice, because now you're stacking up where the division, not everybody plays the same amount of games in the division. Not everybody's going to play the Canes.
That doesn't
4
make any
times
sense. Yeah.
in the Metro. And that's part of it. But if you're going back to, let's stack games and play, the same opponent twice in the same city, I'm all for it. I thought that was great. Baseball does it. Nobody ever complains that, you got to see the Yankees 3 days in a row, or you got to see the Pirates 3 days in a row.
Mike,
and you don't have to do it with every team, but I liked it.
I only bring it up because we saw this in football during the pandemic, in ACC football, remember? The only reason we're getting divisionless football now is because of the pandemic, when they realized, wait a second, people like this schedule. People like not seeing the same teams over and over. So they took something they learned from the pandemic. I just think the NHL, and I know the Canes aren't complaining, but I look at that schedule, and you're right. It's not just the number of home games. It's the fact that you're here for 24 hours, and all of a sudden you're on the road, and you're playing all the – it's unbalanced, and there's no way – and you know how this is going to go, Mike. We're going to get some, February and March, and the Canes are going to be like, we could really use a road trip right now, because that's just the way it goes.
Little on the road bonding time to get out of whatever
Right?
issues they're dealing with. If we could use all the cliches.
The tough part of it is when you've got to go west. You don't want to go out west 4 times in a season if you don't have to. So you want to try to link those games of San Jose, Seattle, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, LA, Anaheim. You want to try and put those all together. And I get it's not easy, because in a lot of those buildings like LA, that there's something in, crypto.com arena every single night and day. They got double headers
Just
going
not
on all
money.
the time.
There's no money in crypto.
Yeah, no, there is no money in crypto.
Yeah.
That's what we're all learning. They brought that up to me, but I mean, it's hard to make these schedules, but some of these things to me are common sense. Like when the league looks back over a schedule, and you're saying you're only going to have a couple of teams, like what Arizona's gone through. It's the same thing with the Carolina Hurricanes. You only have a couple of teams have this. I wouldn't say it's a perfect schedule, but ideally, and I talked about it with Shane Willis earlier this morning on our podcast on Canes Cast, which is you play 3 games at home. Then you go and play 3 games on the road. Then you come back home.
Sure.
I'm sure there's a way that you can make a schedule it's that conducive for the majority of the league. And every now and again, the roulette is not going to spin your way, but you got to find a way to make this, I think, a little bit more balanced. And you're right. It'll be interesting to see what happens come January and February if, getting on the road would be a good thing for this team.
Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play Bally Sports, joining us here on the OG alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. Mike being on the road so much, but he still knew how to get to the 5th floor of PNC Arena. That's very, very important.
No. Luckily there was an attendant in the elevator for
Mike,
me,
this way.
I would have been lost.
This way, Mike. So back on December 5th, Don Waddell, President, GM, Canes, talked to Corey Lavalette on The Athletic, Q&A about a variety of different things. And the things that stuck out to me, they talked about Pyotr Kochetkov. And I think Don, I'm paraphrasing here, but Don was like, we get our guys back, Freddie Andersen, we got Antti Ranta, and we'll send him back to Chicago because, seasoning. They just signed him this 4-year contract, but they know they got their 2 guys, Freddie Andersen and Antti Ranta. A lot has happened in the last couple of weeks since that Q&A. I am of the opinion that the Canes have shown you, like last year, they can carry 3 goalies. They can carry 3 goalies this year as well. And I feel like at this point, why would you not stick with Pyotr Kochetkov in net? Why would you not ride the hot hand? He's the guy. Keep him the guy.
That's the big question right now with the way that he's playing. But it's a decision that I would rather make. Like, we have a choice to make in goal versus, oh my goodness, who's going to play goal for this team?
That. And there have been those moments in the last 15 years.
But the tough thing here is it's hard, guys, and I'll just explain this the best way I can. It is hard to carry 3 goaltenders because you only have 2 nets on the ice at practice.
Right.
There's only 1 net that you can play in the game. And for me right now, I want Pyotr Kochetkov to play as much as he can.
Mm-hmm.
And when Frederik Andersen gets cleared, and by the way, Rod Brindamore said today that we don't know when Frederik Andersen is going to be back, but he's not close to being back. So
Rod's probably telling Freddie, "Hey man, take your time. You're good."
Well, I don't know about that, but you're in this situation, guys, where with Kochetkov, you're going to ride this as long as you can until Frederik Andersen is ready. I'm going to speculate here that Frederik Andersen is going to need to see some live action down in Chicago. So he will probably be on a, as they would call it, a conditioning stint in Chicago, a rehab stint, and then he'll get the call back up. Then you have to decide. And what you don't want to do right now with Kochetkov's development is stunt it by having him split the net, into a third in practice, not getting the work he wants there. Mm-hmm. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to play him every third game? And then now you're not getting enough out of Frederik Andersen. Like there's a tough balance to get here, but when the time comes, the organization has a really tough decision to make. For me, my decision will always come down to what keeps this young man playing, because they want to find out if he can carry the load of a number 1 netminder. That was, I think, the idea all along. What Don Waddell was saying was they were going to see that in Chicago. Well, we're seeing how good he is right now. Just keep him playing.
Yeah,
that's I think the whole key.
To me, this is a no-brainer. It really is. All right, Mike Maniscalco, Canes play-by-play. We appreciate the time, Mike. Congratulations. I haven't had a chance to talk to you on the air. Congratulations on the NSMA finalist spot, along with Joe Giglio. We'll talk to you later.
It's going to be great to be a runner-up to Joe, so I appreciate that. Fist bump to you, Joe. There it is.
I think
voting for you.
I think Adam Witten was it play-by-play for App State. They're going to win. I mean, he had a hell of a September.
It's an App State year.
It's an App State year. All the calls that happen on App State's football games this year, shoo in to win. It's all good. Like, no chance for you two. All right.
I am so good if Adam Witten wins. I'm so good because I gave him a Tampa Bay Rays batting practice jersey.
Yeah.
A few years ago. So he in that trade, he'll just have to give me the trophy. He can win the award. He just got to
wonderful trade. All right, Mike. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, guys. Take it easy.